So now I want to invite the Massachusetts team to come on up. They all work together. So there's handhelds. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name's Elena Quiros-Livanis, and I'm the Chief of Staff and Director of Academic Policy at the Department of Higher Ed in Massachusetts.
I'm Allison Little. I'm the Executive Director of STEM at the Massachusetts Department of Higher Ed.
And I'm Linda Darkathius. I'm the Math Department Chair at Middlesex Community College.
I'm Mara Murray. I'm math faculty at Salem State University.
So we want to thank Allison. So we tried to get creative with our presentation, and I am one of the least creative people on the planet. So I'm glad that I have such a great team to work with. And so our presentation is a la Celebrity Reads Mean Tweets. So I'm just going to show you a clip of that. I'm glad if you're laughing.
Has Zac Efron ever been in a film where he did?
Or gigantic mouth.
Sorry.
It will devour an elephant in one bite. Thank you, Chemotherapy 7, and good luck.
Chris Evans is a stupid bearded sweater wearing dumb dork.
Emma Stone looks like she smells like cat piss. Okay.
So we just wanted to give you a flavor of where the inspiration for this in case you haven't ever seen Celebrity Mean Tweets before.
So our presentation focused on the feedback that we received throughout the multiple events that we had in the Commonwealth. So we'll go ahead and get started, and maybe I'll get the right presentation up, Heather. This doesn't count, right, if towards our time? I got the microphone, but I don't have the right presentation. That's not us. It was us before. This is what happens when you try to get creative. Scroll down.
Yep, there you are.
Oh, that's us. All right.
Right there.
How do I start it?
Here, click here first.
It's a Mac.
Slideshow.
The state can't afford Macs. That's why I don't know how to work. This is all being recorded. How horrible. Okay. So, Allison, if you could advance these for us. So now you get the theme. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of the helpful feedback that we received in Massachusetts. So from one of our events, more data, less talking. We talk about the 77%, but what about the 22 to 23% who are not successful? It seems like this was for institutions just starting the process. Most of us are already well on our way. So we had to make the case for doing math pathways in Massachusetts, so why not start with the data? For every 100 students who enrolled in developmental education, mathematics, in 2015, only 24 of them completed a credit-bearing math course 2 years later. For our state university students, for every 100 students enrolled in Dev Math, so around 1,400 students, only 56% of them completed developmental education. So the data suggests that there are still plenty of things that we can do in order to increase the success rates of students who enter into developmental mathematics. So we had a Math Pathways working group come together in the Commonwealth with representatives from public community colleges, state universities, and University of Massachusetts campuses. And they released a report that was accepted by the board in January of this year. So we're the catch-up team, so we came to this late, but we've made a ton of progress in a short amount of time. And they came up with 5 recommendations. One was to develop 4 math pathways in calculus, elementary education, quantitative reasoning, and stats. Make sure that those math pathways are aligned to our statewide transfer pathways. And so we have these associate to baccalaureate pathways to over 40 majors, where a student can start at any community college and transfer to a public 4-year institution and graduate on time. Students who require remediation should have the opportunity to complete a college-level math course within a year of enrollment. We need to develop a flag within the Department of Higher Education to determine how students are satisfying the quantitative reasoning requirements when that's happening outside of the mathematics department. And finally, the Department of Higher Education should work with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to assure that there's alignment with mathematics courses across the system in the Commonwealth. I'm going to do Allison next.
So some of these may have even come out of your own mouth. Why are we working on this? Kids should know how to do math before they graduate high school. How did these kids ever graduate high school? Didn't their teachers teach them anything? And lastly, not sure why we were making math easier for students. If they didn't get it in high school, then how am I going to teach it to them in college? So this is really the case for needing to have some 9 to 16 alignment. And so our goal is to have students be college math ready day one, right? We want students graduating from high school to be ready to take their college level math course. And so backwards mapping, we know that we need to keep students first at the forefront of this work. We need to redesign high school courses. We know that the standards are there. We just need to repackage them so that the courses are aligned to what the expectations and what they'll be taking in college as their gateway course and building partnerships. And so we've just, this graphic just shows what we've already done at the college or university level and then what we plan to do at the high school level, which is to have all students take Algebra 2, which is a 10th grade course, sometimes an 11th grade course, and then be able to take high school calc, statistics, or quantitative reasoning. We're doing this in 3 phases. So on November 15th, we will have a summit. We're inviting teams from 50 different school districts. That team will look like a district administrator, a math chairperson, 1 or 2 teachers from the math department at the high school, and also a guidance counselor. The guidance counselor is really important for course placement, as well as representatives from the 20 undergraduate public institutions. That is really about building capacity and trust building at there so that they can go back and do this work on their own. That's phase 2. And then phase 3 will be to disseminate this to the other 300 districts who are not part of that summit in order to ensure equity of access of these pathways.
Okay, so first I'd like to thank all of the universities and colleges that are here that have helped us get that catch-up award. We've learned a great deal from you, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little later. So here are our helpful tweets for this. The presenters were good, just less info with more constituent help to work problems unique to our courses, right? Things are different in Massachusetts. You all know that, okay? We are not like other states. Our students are different, okay? You don't all park your car in the yard. So if you don't do that, then you're different than us. So again, we'd like to give a shout out to all of you and thank you for your help in this endeavor, and a special shout out to Richard, who is our consultant. And he was originally a consultant with Michigan, the colleges from there, and we learned a great deal from him and from what they went through. And we really appreciate that, especially in our letter of agreement, in which we took some wording that we wanted to make sure was perfect when we sent out to the universities. We learn a great deal from mistakes people make and also from your successes. So you helped us get caught up in order to go quicker through what we went through. And this really helped shape our approach in what we were doing for the math pathways, also helped shape our approach for how we were going to get buy-in from not only the provost and whatnot, but from the faculty. And a special thank you to the University of Texas and the Dana Center for being the person or the place that brought us all together so we could have this really important dialogue, because it is students first and we really want to help them be successful.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Maura, who will quickly go over our comprehensive approach.
It was helpful this morning hearing about how people are integrating just all of the other features that you're doing and all the other initiatives, and so I'm going to get to that after these other tweets. So we also had more co-requisite, less math pathways, and 2 different workshops. This one puzzled us. Math dataways, co-rec sessions. That was a fun
If
one.
you know what a math data
Yeah,
way
please
is,
tell
let
us if you know what that is. But so we just have many initiatives going on in the state, and through this Math Pathways Committee and through Elena's leadership, we've really been able to bring together numerous initiatives. For one, we've been looking at using multiple measures to assess students. We have a GPA pilot that the state board is going to be voting on, giving recommendations for all the universities and community colleges in December. And then we are just making sure that we're assigning the correct math pathways, so students are taking the appropriate math for their major. And then we also have the co-requisite work that's going on through the state. It's been really helpful.
And a shout out to Complete College America and Vanessa and Bruce for their help on the co-rec work. So where are we going from here? This is a slide that has never been public before, so bear with me. This is where we're going next, and it really seeks to take all three of the elements that Maura just talked about: alternative placement measures, math pathways, and co-requisite into the same space, really looking at a comprehensive approach and tying it to the transfer and applicability work. So really encouraging institutions to start placing students using high school GPA, and if that's not met, then they can go ahead and use AccuPlacer. The idea is to give students as many opportunities as possible to place into college-level coursework before putting them into a co-requisite or a developmental ed course. And then finally hopefully eliminating developmental education standalone courses if they're going into a quantitative reasoning or a statistics course, and allowing institutions to keep one standalone developmental education course if the student is going into either pre-calculus, college algebra, or elementary education. And if they do require developmental, that they get that through a co-requisite support course. Once again, really focusing on making sure that students complete a college-level English and mathematics course within the first year of enrollment. And then on the the right, you'll see the pathways that we currently have selected, the statewide transfer pathways, and what math courses they've identified as being appropriate to their major. So wish us luck, because this is what the board is voting on in December, and then again in March. But we really think that it's important to look at all of these initiatives together. And I want to thank my team, Alice and Maura and Linda, for really standing by us. We worked really quickly to get here, but I think we have caught up. Thank you.